To be a part of county government, you're welcome. With that in mind, we're opening the meeting with prayer. We ask that.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for Tillahaw County. Thank you for all the many blessings that it does provide for each and every one of this country, dear Lord, that we all enjoy the freedoms of. Dear Lord, be with our national leaders at this time. Dear Lord, be with their hearts and their minds on a local level. Dear Lord, be with our military, and just, dear Lord, be with everyone together, dear Lord, and this struggle that we all have. Dear Lord, thank you for all prayer. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Supervisor Montgomery. Next on the agenda is approval for January.
I'll second that.
There's it's not on here for approval for the 2021.
What section are we in?
We on 4.
Is that the approval for that?
Account payable clerk insurance.
Present that, I did have copy in there.
Well, let's make observation of that and
Just check out.
and communicate. I don't have anything. Anyone else? Can I entertain a motion for approval?
Is that motion? No, second.
I got a motion, second.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by
No.
Green. Any additional questions? If not, all in favor? Motion approved 5-0. Do you have any citizens in the audience that would like to bring forward a comment? Seeing there is none, we'll move forward with assessment changes, tax reform. Here we go.
Two assessment changes to revenue and refund.
Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Trainer. Any questions? All in favor? Motion.
I mean, that was for 2 changes and 1 refund.
Well, we have another.
Oh, you do a separate.
We have for a pay motion for approval for the pay reimbursement by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any questions? Not, all in favor? Motion of Moving forward, the Clearwater Group. Mr. Barbara.
Well. Good to see y'all.
Y'all haven't started the party session about money.
Revenue bill deadlines are here. Hello, sir.
Feel free to move forward.
I will.
Bring us up to date.
I will. So we have been, priority project being finding funding for Octoc Road. That's right. We've got parallel tracks we're working on both of these. With Octoc Road, we've been working with Chairman Josh Harkins, who was obviously a Mississippi State grad, which helps, and equally afforded the chairman of the Finance Committee of the Senate. We talked about Octoc Road. We talked about the price tag for Octoc Road, the support of funding for this project, which has helped us a lot, and we have gotten, we've received good support so far from the Senate. Rob has led our efforts in the House, and I think he's having good conversations there. They have a little bit different process. Is that senators from those districts file an actual bill saying this is the project that I want, this is the amount of dollars that are required for that, so that he can lump all those bills. But that's okay. These bills will end up in conference the last week of the session, but I will tell you that we have, feel very, very good about support for this specific project. And that certainly will fit the budget request that Claude has provided for us. Through this process, you never know what's going to happen, but I feel as good now as we have for any goal has been to that, is to try to go, and we talked a lot to Claude about this as well, is to see which direction Congress, this new Congress is going to take, and the Biden administration is going to take with federal funds that are coming down. If we try to go to the legislature, we would not get it this year, and we want to try to get something going on those, obviously those projects this year.
So, Maven Sturgis Road, no number, no time.
To be candid with you, and I've always been straight up with you guys, our feel is that we can only get one project done this year, and with Mississippi State's, fervent support of Octop Road, because obviously it starts. Anything else that we tried to go for through the state legislature, I just didn't feel like we had. There's no guarantees ever, but I just felt like this was a much better probability to get this one done. Doesn't mean that the other two are not important. Of course they are, but just feel like federal routes can be better.
What do you think we can start working on those federal dollars for county line and Maven Sturgis?
Well, we're beginning to already look and see. There's just nothing that's out there yet from the Federal Department of Transportation, because obviously President Biden just got inaugurated with Senator Wicker's office to help us find those dollars, and because I know that those are top priorities, without a doubt. But I hate to say March the 1st or May the 1st or February the 15th, and then that not true. I want to give you an actual date once I
Play with in the state level with the COVID or anything. Are we seeing any delays? And are they going to
through the legislative process?
Yeah, through. Or through the timeline. I didn't know if I knew there were some cases that came up, and so I didn't know.
The House said no, and that would have to start with a House resolution. There are currently 5 state senators who have COVID, but they're pushing through it. They're doing a lot of Zoom meetings, and just like you guys, they're fighting through it as best as they possibly can. Super supportive, very supportive. It is his piece of legislation that is requesting these funds. We have worked very closely with him. He has gone to the chairman of the Finance Committee and said, this is something that I need. So he and Rob are working at it. It's different ends of the Capitol, but resolution has been passed by this board in support of that. That is a very important sort of final step, a variable in this process that we need. And candidly, it would be a 5-0 vote is seen in very good terms by.
And I know this is just a prediction, but I'm just going to ask this: with the changes on the federal level of environmental policies and things like that, are we thinking that we're going to see a lot of price increase in asphalt and stuff like that? We're already seeing gas prices go up with oil and things like that. When we talk about versus a little extra,
Yeah.
and I know you can't predict that, but I'm just saying, is it going to possibly? Do you see it possibly trending that way? So we need to cover all bases.
I wish I knew the answer to that. I will say this is a pretty aggressive ask that we've made, which is what you guys want to do. I think the number will be good.
Okay.
Will it require any matching money?
There's not going to be a requirement for that. I did let Senator Harkins know that there's a possibility that if the number is $2 million and you only get one. Hey, I'm just throwing numbers out. Small, yeah. So, but to answer your question, no.
But that's what we did on Morehouse.
Yeah, that's what we did on Blackjack too.
Yeah, we
had money in the
District 4 spread money, and then
He knows
that we want to make an ask for, because I've plugged, and of course this can be changed just as easily. Do we want to ask for the 2.9 or do we want to ask for 2.7?
No, 1.7.
I mean 1.7. I'm sorry.
I would ask for 1.9.
Was that just an overlay, or was that?
For that kind of money, I'm all over it.
I think it's
Over 10 miles of it.
It is. It's 10.7 miles. Yeah. I better let Clyde answer that. He felt very, very good about.
Attorney Robinson, would you like to speak into that since you've been involved?
I would. Well, first of all, I've got a resolution that's ready for us to move forward with. However, I do need to make some edits just to make sure that I get the number correct, what we're actually asking for. We don't have. We need to have in the back of our head some seed money. I mean, you don't ever want to. And the way I have presented it on our side is that this is this is a very needed road, and that ever, if they understand what our intent is on both sides, this will make this a lot smoother. Anytime you go out here and there's not a consensus, it has the potential to go south pretty quick.
Well, can I address that and ask, we have a large farm on Hot Top Road. And if you are saying that we've had it for many, many years, and if you're saying that, this is going to increase property value, I just think it's good to be upfront and honest with where you have land, and, we have a lot of cattle down there, and we have a large piece of property, so.
I don't think that this is a resolution. This is not money that you are doing out to Hall County. The reality is that on Hot Top Road, if we pave that road or whatever, even my property on Main
Well, I don't know how you can make the property value go up anymore. It is high out there. I'm just saying, I'm saying up front, there are projects that we're working on that, appear they're could benefit people, and I want that to be out there, and us all think about that before I vote on that.
I don't think that something that you're actually plugging money directly from you to improve your property. It's a 10-mile stretch. So I don't think that from that perspective, but I do appreciate where you're coming from. It's not a bad.
We'll go vote on the resolution today.
I'm going to be asking for something today, or y'all telling me what you want me to do. Now, that being said, y'all are the controller of when you pass resolutions, and it would be nice to have it. It would certainly be nice to more difficult to move forward, at least on the Senate side. So
you won't get the funding if you don't have the resolution, because they want to know that the local controlling governmental entity is in support of this.
So I've never known us to turn down money that was given to us. This is money that's given to us. I wish saying that we don't want it. It's not logical in a way. Town can afford to pave a road to the standard that it needs to be paved with that distance, involving that much distance.
I think it's probably one of the fastest developing areas too in the county.
Right.
If you look at the assessed value, it's grown in the last
term. I just know in the past, when we've tried to get Mr. Barber to move forward with exploring for some money, it became, a resolution came before the board, and he needed a 5-0 vote. Looking at this, we've got another resolution in front of us that we're needing a 5-0 vote on. So
I'll say this, let me speak to a little bit on this, and I'm thankful project or other projects like this, which would include Maven Sturgis Road. I will vote yes on this, but I would like something in the minutes, and I will put all of my state aid towards Maven Sturgis Road spec. And I think it's like $950,000. So I would need around $400,000 to do Maven Sturgis Road from our state aid budget. So my yes vote for this project on Maven Sturgis Road, which is sorely needed. It's one of the worst roads in the county, especially state aid road. It's the worst state aid road in the county as far as condition, and it connects Highway 82. I'm ashamed of the condition of that road, and I just don't have a mechanism to complete that road the way it needs to be done. But I would want some consideration from this board to vote yes on the resolution. But I would like that in the minutes and the form of a motion as well.
And I would like to sort of follow up on that. And I do understand. I'm like Supervisor Montgomery, just to be totally frank, we have trouble, seem to have trouble getting funding for other areas if it's not on the southern end of the county. There's need all over the county, somewhere else in this county. So it seems like we get quite a few projects done down on the south end. Quite a bit of funding comes into the county from down on that end. can. But I think we're sort of looking at it the same way. There's needs that seem to be continuing to get overlooked and not funding received unless it's in a certain area. So that's just, that's just being honest. Support from, but again, there's citizens all over Octavia County that actually needs help, needs projects done too.
Well, I think we all can get something out of this, and I guess I try to be diplomatic, because I see everybody's, and hand it off to him and let him go and see if he can get the additional funding. Or we can do separate orders with the roads you want, with the one you want, with the one I want, with the one he wants, and give all those separate orders to him and let him go and see which ones he can get funded. However, in those orders, we need him that would make our proposal appear to be that it's a serious commitment from us.
I get that, yeah.
And if we get the 5-0 vote, it makes it better. If we don't get the 5-0 vote, still submit them and see how they're funded. At least $300,000 that we're gonna put in to leverage that project,
Which is fine.
which is 20%. I'm just using that, 20% or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's gonna give you
Today,
that we're willing to put in if these projects, get funded.
If you go and you do get this 1.9 million for the Oshkosh Road project, the positive is that this will open up for us to be able, collectively, to be able to fund another. Right, we can't fund Maven Sturgis Road, we can't fund Oshkosh Road by ourselves. So the help that we get from the outside is positive if you really look at it. We have to be agreeable, right? Why I would like it reflected in the minutes.
I just think the conversation needed to be had, that in order to get the ball rolling, there's no guarantee here. We're talking about a resolution going before to try to receive this federal funding. Only observation I'm making is, in the past, when we wanted to send Mr. Barber to go look for money and he needed a 5-0 vote for a resolution, this board would not pass a 5-0 vote. But there's need all over Octavia County. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna vote in favor of this.
Let's keep in mind that we are talking about free money now.
Well, we were talking about sending him to go and try and find free money. We couldn't do that.
However, if maybe if you want a follow-up motion, that's fine. But what we need now is a motion pertaining to Oshkosh Road only. Now, if the board seem to think that a 20% match needs to go, I think that should be decided by the legislature.
I agree with that. I think tell them we need all the funding.
Yeah,
And then if we don't get it,
that's
come
right.
back. I mean, I know that, when we've had some other projects done, it would be nice to have all the funding. Be this much more. And we already look like we're moving forward on this project in a very positive way. Go ahead.
Well, and they are aware that, because Ms. Williams, you and I have had this conversation, that if they send you X amount of money and you need X plus this for your district. So they are aware that you've got that money if it's needed. But that's just me giving you all the bit of information that I'll share.
At this time, we need one motion, and we can have a follow-up motion from Mr. Barber to move Maven Sturgis Road. There could be a follow-up motion, and I think Supervisor Howard had a desire for a project. And I don't know whether you all want to make that first or second.
Well,
I don't throw mud in the game.
No, we're not doing that, and I appreciate you, but I would like to say in that motion on the Maven Sturgis Road to follow up, is that if we get funding for this project, then I got 537 would be needed from the balance of the state aid fund. So I would like the motion for the Maven Sturgis Road to say, if we get funding for Oshkosh Road projects, which I don't mind, we get the 1.C in that motion, a vote of confidence from this board that if we do get that money, that the Maven Sturgis Road project can be given beyond my balance of state aid money. And then as far as Supervisor Howard's concerned, whatever he's got, I'll support that too, because he's right. When he asked for a a 5-0 vote, you couldn't get it.
Well, I make the motion, we do all that's been suggested.
We're dealing with two motions.
I'm about to break it down.
The legislature just want a motion on the Ox Top Road project.
Can I-
And then you follow up on whatever you want to follow up on. Go ahead,
No, I think you're right. Okay.
we gonna lose free money if we're not careful about so much we put it into, something that's unnecessary. But, do we have a motion?
Mr. President, with all due respect, I don't think this conversation is unnecessary.
Well,
I honestly, to slow progress, I'm not here to do that.
It's not-
But I am here to say that he couldn't even start to look for free money because we wouldn't pass a 5-0 vote. Now that's just the fact of it. I use the solution. I am saying that I represent District 3, and I'm here to fight for the constituents in District 3 that has need, and I just want this to be brought to this board's attention that in the future, one district is fair for another. That's all I'm saying.
At this point, we need a motion on the table to, offer our support for the legislators to fund the Ox Top Road project.
So moved. Second.
Question. If not, all in favor?
I'm okay with
Motion carries 5-0.
And in the minutes, I want to make certain that in each time that we have something that is that, so y'all have to help me remember, because I don't know sometimes what area that might benefit you or whatever, but I'll put that in the minutes.
And I would like to make a motion, that if, in the event thereof, that we get the 1.9 million funding for the Hot Road project, and I'm asking for around $400,000 collectively from our state aid budget to complete the Maven Sturgis Road project.
Offer the balance amount to complete after Supervisor Montgomery for his portion of state aid money in, that he's asking for the balance amount to pay Maven Sturgis.
They can cut, I'm not gonna be frivolous, I promise that.
And Supervisor, and that was collectively from the board to fund the balance of the.
Well, from the state aid, the balance of state aid.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Miller. Supervisor Trainer, I'm sorry. Second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
We're gonna do our research, and when we come back before the board, we'll have everything clear. I'm not shooting from the hip today. I just wanted to make an observation, to this board that, when a project comes in and we need a
This right here, guys, I'm proud of us, seriously. Working together. And we do well working together sometimes.
I believe there are some federal dollars gonna come down for infrastructure improvement. Do you feel that same way?
I do, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Give us an update on the building.
Okay.
Did you have a motion?
Well, it encompasses that. Only other thing, just like Supervisor Howard.
Okay, just making sure I'm getting this
I'm
right.
satisfied with it.
All right,
That does give you some clear.
Meeting that I'm here to present, I think I'm once a quarter, I believe. We'll have a better sense of what the federal government's gonna do with the Biden administration and, with infrastructure. And we'll, be able to talk about that and see what projects are out there that we can go target.
Keep your eyes
Thank you, Supervisor Montgomery. Does he take it on the board?
I would, yes. We get some federal money, then I think, that would free up, you know what I mean, the Maven Sturgis Road project would be done. I would be open to looking at other projects around the county too.
If y'all don't mind, I'm gonna get this edited while y'all are here, because I want signatures to take.
Motion to make that,
Sure, yeah, in the event that we get, federal dollars for the Maven Sturgis project, which I believe would encompass part of District 3 and 4, because I would need that prior motion for the 400,000 of state aid. So I'll make that motion again.
motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard, that we would not expect, but to use state aid dollars instead to complete the necessary funding for, maintenance Sturgis Road.
In the event we get federal funding,
In the event we get federal funding.
which it qualifies for that because it connects two highways and on top.
Either project is very much needed.
That's what, yeah, it qualifies for federal funding because of those two standards.
Yeah. We need to pave it up, Supervisor Montgomery, we do need to pave maintenance Sturgis Road without agree. We received those dollars that we would not have to do state aid dollars collectively.
We certainly appreciate all of you.
Okay, thank you all for your participation to get that cleared up. Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. Supervisor Howard. Redistricting. Mr. Sampson.
How are y'all today? This might not be as hard to talk about as roads and money.
Get that call last week? About, the one off Quick Springs Road, you know, people fighting that way.
Oh, yeah, I told her that I submitted it to Google. But y'all know Google is a private company.
Yeah.
They're out in California.
Right.
And I can only see.
So like, you know, when people put it in their map quest to find it.
That's right.
And then you subdivision and it's not listed, I just wondered.
I put it in Google. It's suggested. It's whenever they do get that added and fixed.
Okay.
I think all y'all know me. I'm Toby Sanford. This is my colleague Dave. Annual census has been conducted, and every year Indians count people to give you a little bit more information. Some of y'all remember this 10 years ago, because we were all doing this. You got the largest level is the census tract, the medium level is the census block group, and then the smallest level is the census block. This is an example of the tracts. You can see how big a tract is. A tract covers a lot of area. You can see it has 1, 2, 3, 4. This tract has so many block groups, and it tells you how many blocks are much smaller. Blocks fill in the areas of the block group, and they usually follow roads, creeks, people. That tells you within that tract there's 12 people. I mean, within that block there's 12 people. Within this block there's 6 people. Estimates as of July 1, 2019. And if we come over here to Oktibbeha County, you can see that this is the only county people. Now that is an estimate as of July 1, 2019. We will not know what the actual numbers are until the census data is released, and we'll get to that when everywhere. But just looking across the trends, even Oktibbeha County growing. If you look across the district, it's Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, one man, one vote. That one district cannot out the least populated district and the most populated district and add their variances together. It can exceed 10%. We're going to go through a very simple redistricting for a county of 1,000 people in 5 districts. The first thing you want to calculate is the ideal number. The ideal number tells you how many people. We divide it by 5. That tells us we want 200 people per district. If there's 100,000 people, we'd want 20,000 people per district. That number. What we do first is a benchmark plan. The benchmark plan takes the newest census data, which will be released sometime this year, and the current, what tells you if you have to redistrict or not, whether you're violating federal law. The variance. So the max variance is how we figure that. So I made up these 5 districts. I put people in each one of them and that ideal number. That ideal lets you figure your deviation. That deviation tells you that means they're overpopulated by 75 people. Those two both have 200 people. They're perfect. They're ideal. District 4 has added to it to make it ideal, to get it closer to that number that we're shooting for. And you can see 5 has 50 too many people. Alright, so you take 100 and divide it by the ideal number, and that gives you a percent. You can see District 1 is 37% overpopulated. District 4 is 60. Not at all.
Okay, and the reason I ask is because like District 4 has 25% of the total miles, where some districts have 12.
Redistricting is completely based around population.
Okay.
Yes, how many people are
How many people? Well, that's what we'll find out when these numbers. So, to get that max variance, to find out if you have to redistrict or not, is you add the highest and the lowest together. Irregardless, you have to redistrict, because anything above 10 and you're breaking federal law. So I have to move these people around from one district to another. Now, I made up a fake plan, this new proposed plan, where I moved people from one district to another district, and I got that deviation.
Plug the numbers in now, okay, and they're within that 10% as the districts stand currently.
Mm-hmm.
Do you keep them as they are?
You could. And everything, if it's under that 10%, you keep everything as it is. You do not have to redistrict,
But
or you could redistrict.
You can
if
still
want.
redistrict.
You sure can.
I didn't know if I didn't know at that point if everything still stood within the 10% variance.
All that tells you is by federal law you don't have to. You got all the numbers and y'all are happy, keep it like it is. If it is above 10%, we do have to move people from around and get that number below. Now, the closer you get this number to zero, almost guarantee just a little fluctuation that people moving out, and people never leave uniformly. So it would be one district or another district below that number, and it would cause you to have to redistrict.
Toby, are you familiar with state numbers as far as 3 places, and this is just rumor mill type stuff? I haven't seen specific numbers, but there weren't but about 3 or 4 places in the state of Mississippi that grew.
And Octavia was one of them.
You're one of them. So
The estimate page shows you that just in that coverage of these 7 counties that we grow.
that's a big deal. That's a really big deal.
It is, and that, if you do grow by that estimate of 2,000 people, you're almost guaranteed to have to redistrict, because you don't know where they move to, kind of thing, and then that's going to push that number. One district's going to be way overpopulated.
So you're telling me from the numbers that I saw, those are mine. I thought Webster was moving to the plus too, and I see that there's mine.
That's the only one that's growing. And then Starkville is the only city that didn't lose people. The trend is.
So do you choose the locations yourself
Do I choose what now?
to expand the districts? Or to take in more people? Do you choose that?
No. I don't understand your question.
Like
Do I
with the
choose where
numbers?
people live?
Yeah, no. To get the, where you got to take.
Let's say 4. Was this one?
Yeah, that's
That was, let's say that right there says 4 is in the whole 125 people. Well, then I have to find people from a district that connects to you and give them to you.
Your district's going to most likely is going to grow.
It's either going to grow. Now, if you have too many people, then I have to. Yeah, but y'all.
Toby will draw some redistricting lines
That's
if
right.
need be, and then he'll present it to the board, and he will say, this is the ideal redistricting.
Yes.
That because districts still have to touch and all of this other
I
stuff that's
understand. We'll
added.
get to your question here.
So yeah.
But you see in my plan I created here, we brought all these numbers down and we got that below that 10% mark. And that's really what you're trying to do. So the benchmark plan is below the 10%. You do not have to redistrict if you don't want to. This part of the job is free. It doesn't cost. We ask questions. When will our numbers be released? And honestly, we don't know. Not until after reapportionment. In 2011, we got them at the end of April. 2021, I do not expect them till after June and July. Just because COVID has slowed everything. To tell you anything until I do get those numbers. I won't know. Whether. We are, and this is important here, information for y'all. We are currently not under Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. And what that means is we do not have to have pre-clearance of any plan that y'all, somebody looking over our shoulder to make sure we did things right. But there is legislation from the House that has been sent to the Senate to put us back under Section 5. If that passes, we will have to do DOJ pre-clearance if they decide to put us back under. That's up in the air. We don't know yet. And currently, if we did it today, no. And we create this plan that puts that max variance under 10%. We have a public hearing, which is recommended, not required. We adopt the new district lines. We create the written description. We publish the maps and the description in the paper. We provide the data to the circuit clerk to update the voter roll and precinct. To have pre-clearance, there's just some more steps in here. We have to get the plan right. We have to have 2 public hearings. We have to adopt the new lines, create that written description, then create that 28 CFR Section 5 document to send to the Department of Justice for pre-clearance. Once they get that document, they have 60 days to publish the maps and the description once we get pre-clearance, and then provide the data to the circuit clerk that we updated. And who has the authority to redistrict? And I think, Brickley, that's what you were asking. Supervisor district, the county supervisor, precincts, and the district line. Justice courts are also the supervisors, and they will also have to be evaluated. We'll have to look and see if the justice court districts are overpopulated. School board, the school board does theirs, the city does theirs. That is all on that. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, and the other,
That's
you
right.
know, in the amount of roads that there are, and of course, in District 4 we have twice as many.
A large area.
It's the largest area, but the money, when it comes down, gets split for, you know, equally 5 ways, and the districts are equal. So that's the reason I was asking, you know, District 4 doesn't have the same, you know.
This has nothing to do with roads, assessed value, this is just strictly people.
That's right.
This is
And
all this.
I understand, but we are talking about districts, and that's the reason.
Yeah,
and you-
but we're talking about redistricting census.
that's right.
Now, people and census
That's right.
I do
determines
understand
your
that. That was my
Senate
question.
district.
Also.
Miles are not considered. Once we
That's my
redistrict
question.
and we figure out your new district lines, we'll change the road maintenance, so that what district each road is in that changed, and then you just get a new list, and then move on.
When you keep in mind, and I believe I'm trying to remember the Bullseye Act of 1965, I think that's section 2. that covers-
Section 5 and section 4.
And section 4 that covers majority minority districts. Would you address that?
Yes,
Or would you
yes, we will.
take that under consideration?
It completely is. This resolution right here says that we would, the guidelines and criteria governing the proposed boundary changes for supervisor districts, and that this document right here, contract with me, and if y'all go into contract and we adopt, and you order me to go into contract with me, we would immediately adopt that resolution stating we would abide by the guidelines of the Department of Justice and make sure that we don't water down a district, or we keep the minority districts as strong as we can.
I think actually while we're looking at it, it would be a good time to un-gerryman some of these districts. That's been
Even if you
gerrymandered
don't
over
have to
the years.
redistrict, we can sit down and move
Right,
some
right.
places
There's
down.
a lot of gerrymandering that was taken.
Yeah, this is my 5th meeting. You can go on and retain my services, and y'all are covered if you're going to do it. And then adopt that one, or you can hold on to them and decide when you want to do it. Now, the first part's free. Even if we go into contract, telling you whether you do or don't have to redistrict is free. And if it turns out,
I make a motion, we move forward.
Much by Supervisor Trainer, something by Supervisor Howard, that we move forward with plans for redistricting. All in favor?
I need a motion for this. No, you just did the contract. Now I need y'all to do a motion for the resolution of the guidelines, and if y'all want to read them, you can. It's just a manner that assures fair and effective representation of all minority groups residing in the county. District lines shall keep intact communities with established ties of common interest and association, whether historical, racial, economic, ethnic, religious, or other. Each district shall individual districts to the extent practical, but only if such action does not affect the adherence to the primary criteria stated herein. And that's pretty much saying is we're not going to, we can't district you out of your district. Public input will be considered by the board in the development of the final plan.
Kirby, can I get a copy?
Trainer.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Montgomery.
And
We
this-
move forward with
Only, I would just need a copy of this in your minutes. And that's it, that's yours. This one is yours too. You mind reading it?
We have a copy of the contract.
Yes, and this is, that's Mr. Millie's copy right there.
You got it.
Mr. Millie's copy right there, we are good to go. I will keep y'all up to date when those numbers are released. Very much.
Thank you,
Unless you have
Doctor.
some questions.
Appreciate y'all. Have a good one.
Yeah, see, that's pretty easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, we have a motion and a second.
Motion second.
Supervisor Montgomery, Trainer motion, motion carries.
Y'all need me?
Move forward, Citizen Jones.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
Well, I have good news. Y'all look great. You do. We looked at, and y'all are paying significantly above the mean in just about, just a handful of people are below the mean, and the lowest one I believe is 87%. And I can tell you, I do these sometimes when the highest salary will be 87%. So y'all look really, really good. Significantly above. So, yeah, you look really, really good.
Well, I think that that's really important to know. I think it's important to know for those few positions that were not. And I think it was, less than 5?
Yeah. It's just...
and so we can move those. But I think, when the word really gets out that Octavia County is paying significant, we can continue to attract good employees. So I think that that's positive information to know. Thank you.
And the only department that you have turnover in is in your roads and bridges, and that tends to be in your laborer pool, and that's what I believe you contend with when you're working with laborers is, that's just a really hard job, and hot, dusty, and so, and it tends to be, like younger folks would come into that, and then they move on to something else. It's a summer job kind of.
Just one observation. Did that have anything to do with years of experience too? I know that in some areas we are higher than other counties, but I think you also took in consideration of years of experience.
Because the way that y'all award raises, even if you did 3%, over time that just stacks.
Well, we are one of the few counties that does that every single year for all of their employees. Is a 3% increase, which is very uncommon.
I applaud y'all. I absolutely applaud y'all paying, because you're both competitive and you're equitable. So that's a wonderful place to be. But in the table of contents, if you look, I have sorted these by tenure. Let's see, which table is that? Table 13 is by tenure. It's on page 44. And you can see how people shake out how much tenure they've got. And then I sorted it by percent of the mean, and I sorted it both by the percent of the Mississippi County responses. But even with those Mississippi County responses, you were still significantly above the mean in most of the positions, though you did drop down into the 90s and have some, you had some lower, and I will do even more slicing and dicing if you want to, but I tried to think of every which way that I could, make this up. And I also went in and I looked at your sheriff's department, because I know that, there's a state mandate that they cannot make more. 17. I took your highest salaries in the sheriff's department and I projected out 3% annual raises. And the highest salary in your sheriff's department's got 4 years before they would get close to that raises occur in the sheriff's department. That happens, it doesn't happen yearly. So, if it's 4 years yearly, and it's 8, every other year you've got 8 years. So, if you think about it, the horizon curve. And I also looked at the tenure in your sheriff's department too, and those salaries that I looked at tended to be kind of in the mid-range, mid-career range, not close to the top salary, and they have a horizon of...
Why, the elected official was left out other than the sheriff, and you just brought something to my attention, because I'm not aware of that statute. But why were the elected officials not included in the salary system?
Elected official salary is like it said.
So they're the same. Right, so elected officials should have been included in this statute.
But within the department, as those salaries climb and they approach that sheriff's, mandated salary, that was a concern, is that how soon would that happen?
And so one of the things that the elected officials, and I guess this is a going thing that's in the state legislature dealing with the pay of elected officials and other things. I just think it should have been added in there. I know when I first got on the board, I came in making $33,548. You make $46,000 now. But regardless of how much time you got, you still gonna get paid the same amount. And I think that salary makes a difference in these elected official positions too, because historically people have been trying to keep them low to discourage people from pursuing these positions.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that's something that we need to make sure that we don't leave out, in my opinion.
And then, the sheriffs, and maybe growth in the county, they assess value, things like that, their raises will automatically get their raises at a certain point, whereas the board of supervisors, regardless of how much growth happens in the county, we have to actually, and listen, sheriff department and tax assessors, they do, and they deserving of what they get. But what I'm saying is, we have to
The same size, similar
full
sizes.
survey, yeah, or we're very close, so I felt like it when I talked to you the first time, someone wanted me to look at okay, and so I looked at that, and so on the last page of the pullout, then at the bottom, it says truck driver, but the mean for a truck driver is $32,340, and for a laborer, it's $25,400. And then if you look at the minimum and the maximum values that are over towards the center of the laborer coming in is about 18, and then the maximum is 41,000 for a truck driver. Okay, if you want to talk about levels, look at the right hand side. If you look at the percentiles, an entry level would be 28. For a truck driver, and an entry level for a laborer would be entry level, and that mimics your minimum. So 25% is entry level salary. 50. Wow.
Maybe you may know, what is the salary for poverty in America?
Salary, the money for poverty is.
And the reason I ask you, I'm for one person. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't know whether we had anybody employed by the county. It's based upon the number of people in your household.
Yeah, it's like, I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm thinking for one person it's like maybe $12,000, which is bad, because there's no way you'd be making 87% of the mean, which is the lowest one that y'all have. The lowest salary.
United States.
That would be the United States, but I can certainly look. I'll be glad to look. I can go in, but I'll be going into the old census because it's estimates, but they've got it updated through that. So
I was just sometimes in Octavia County, professors making $200,000 a year, but then you got some workers at McDonald's, but when you average all of that, it's sort of just.
Okay, so you would like for me, I'm just getting my marching orders. You want me to look into the elected salaries in the states of Arkansas, Mississippi? I will look at in Octavia County.
On the internet, it says in 2018, the federal poverty income threshold was $25,308 for a single parent of one child.
17,308
for a single parent
with one child.
Okay, how much for just one person by themselves?
Thank you. Good job.
All right. Good. But like I said,
I kind of wanted this a couple of weeks ago, but I know you didn't have all the counties together, but very, very good. Thank you.
Okay. But I'll be glad to try to figure it out. But I think I thought I'd wake up in the middle of the night and think, I can do that too.
Right. Good job.
All right.
Thank you so much.
To acknowledge through salary study, second by Supervisor Montgomery, with the understanding that we have an addendum coming that will go. Motion carried 5-0.
Ceasefire.
Move forward. Mr. Jones, Knight.
How you doing? How you doing? Good. I'm Terrell Knight, Vice President of Government with C-Spire. I'll let Brian introduce himself.
I'm Brian Jones. I'm the government and county executive of North Mississippi. One thing we want to do, we want to share some network enhancements we got going on in the area. We're doing a lot of things this year. From a company standpoint, we invested over $1.5 billion into the network. So we really wanted to.
Get this up. Again, Terrell Knight, first of all, I want to thank y'all for your business. Octavia County has been with ceasefire back since the early 90s, and we really appreciate your business. I think I was going to 27 years. I don't think I've ever addressed a board up here. And I think Kristen and Brian had talked, and they've redundancy and in things we do for our first responders throughout the state of Mississippi. And I like to tell folks, ceasefire has been there for the counties and cities throughout the state of Mississippi since the inception. We force the national guys to do things, and this folks like Emily, and Kristen with EMA and the sheriff's departments to make sure that they are up to speed with all the first responder information and network. So what I've got also got some handouts here. Pretty worth 1,000 words. I'm going to try to stay on schedule. I'm going to pass these around. Y'all gonna put me in the dark? Probably where I belong, so you have to look at me. I think I've got 9 of these handouts. But that's the thing. Here you go. Oh, my God. Let's see. Okay. Let me see if I can pull this up.
I think you left the screen on there.
I'm sorry.
I got the wrong one. I'm sorry. I don't need. There you go, Brian. I'm sorry.
They purchased state tracks when you were.
Hey, you know how that goes. Let's see where we're going. It's got too much information here. Who knows how I do this thing?
We just appreciate the five and a half.
That's a tip. Y'all know anything about anybody know anything about this? Huh?
Just hit enter on the computer, see if that works. It makes sense down there. Hit it.
You can operate it, Brian. You want to? Go to the next slide. Go to the next one. I'm going to keep everybody on schedule here today. Go to the next one. So, the state of Mississippi. That's 1,285 cell towers in the state. We added another 30 more cell sites. By the way, we got to put one up in Union in Clay County. That's a big spot up there. But that represents 1,285 cell sites. Nobody has more towers in the state of Mississippi than we. Pipeline of our fiber optic network. And the reason I show this to different counties and cities, this is important. Every cell phone call, every data session runs on a fiber optic network. Obviously, we got tributaries through that. Starkville is in it, and one of the very first in the country. And I was here visiting in 2013 with Mayor Parker Wiseman on that when we first started talking about that concept. When I walked out of that office, I said, watch and see. Starkville, Mississippi, the very presentations. They're going, y'all doing what? Where, when? I said, yes, we're doing it in Mississippi, in Starkville, Mississippi. Beauty of that, the best thing, the thing that I want to stress here, especially for our first responders, meaning the sheriffs and the EMA folks, all this fiber is buried and flood proof, and that's what it does not run on telephone poles. Okay. Again, 1,285 cell sites, 5 controlling switches, super switch in Jackson, super switch in Harrisburg, and 1 in Sims, Alabama. If for some reason one of those switches were bombed or for some unreason went down, the other switches pick back up. So we design our network so there's no 500 miles of fiber with ring switching diversity. And what I mean by that, that's if that fiber got cut, it reroutes itself. This is a very busy map, and this really doesn't apply to 5G, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. One thing, if you look out in Tibet County, you see some red dots. Those are small cells that we have put up. We've actually put up 3 here in Starkville. Once Jones and I were there visiting them about a year ago, and I pulled up the parking lot and had 2 bars and tried to send a text message. It took about a minute for it to go through. I said, this is ridiculous. Anyway, we started meeting at the hospital, and World Community has high-speed data over there and inside the hospital. So that was a big play for us. We had looked at building a cell site over in the park several years back. That the residents were against that, and we've been, it's up on the hospitals, non-intrusive. Okay? Again, I mentioned 5G, and we're going to talk just a minute about 5G. First of all, if you take a look on the next page, I did not include this. On page 5 or 6, there's a B.O.S. County. Again, nobody covers Octavia County like ceasefire. I mean, we've been here for a long, long time. But 5G, we did have 5G now in Brookhaven, Columbus, Madison, Richland, and in Hattiesburg. Go to the next slide, Brian. The big announcement that we made, I think it was, when was that, Thursday or Friday?
Yeah.
Thursday or Friday. We're going to be spending $1.5 billion on our network in the next 3 years. Now that's 500 of that is in Tennessee. But what you're looking at here on these dots, this represents the cell sites that we're going to be rolling out 5G. If you notice, in the green is going to be our phase 1, Jackson, Mississippi Gulf Coast. You see Octavia County in the blue. That will start in the second half of this year. The green will be done by May, and we'll start on the second half of this year. So every cell's big investment. Just on the 5G piece, I believe it's $250 million is what we're investing in that, and the rest of that announcement of the 500 million and additional 500 million is going to go to the schools. We're running. First of all, we're running fiber. We won the state contract for the state of Mississippi to run fiber to every state agency, every health department, counties, cities. If the Octavia County Starkville School District wants it to all their schools, we will build it at a specific rate.
Did that finally get settled?
It did. So we won that. We won the state contract for the fiber optic network. We got what it was, 300-something million,
right.
some crazy number. But AT&T sued the state. They contested the contract. They sued the state. It went to the ITS board. They got settled, and we're starting to build. We've got to build additional around 3,000 miles of fiber in the next 18 months, and that started about 4 months ago.
Can I ask you?
Yes.
During that time, and I hate to interrupt you, but during that time, they would outsource with some more, but then they passed all those residents along the way, but they didn't offer service.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm just asking if we went back somehow, there's no way to pick up all those people that got fiber. So in other words, if they ran fiber down Crexford anyway, you got to go back with this new contract and pick up all those people.
So yeah. No. So our goal, strictly, is to run it by. We're not going. If the school wants, so we're going to zigzag and go by every industrial park and the whole 9 yards. Obviously, you know what our model is. You know, as many homes as we possibly can. Sure. Now, I can sit here and say we guarantee we're going. We might have running fiber right down the road and there's one house on it. It's almost cost prohibitive. I mean, it really is.
No.
They have the opportunity to get that. Yes,
okay.
That's the beauty of it.
Okay.
Anyway, so what you're looking at again, the blue dots will be done the second half of the year. The yellow dots will be done. I'll make sure I'm on time. All right. Let's talk just briefly about disasters and what we do. What we do at Ceasefire is work with the county, city, state agencies, and MEMA, the whole 9 yards. So there's a couple of these predictor of future performance as past performance when it comes to working with counties and cities. I want to talk about Hurricane Katrina real quick. When we got into Category 5 hurricane was in the Gulf of Mexico, we established 21 tower crews and staged in the area outside of Mobile. That storm hit hard to hit counties down there. Everybody down there was using our network. Yeah. Now my competition is going to be here in the sea, and they're going to talk about all these great things that they have. But they were there. The first time I saw them, that storm hit on Monday. The first time, and I was down there the next day. The first time I saw them was on a Saturday. There's a laundry list of tornadoes where our network remained up and operational. Two that I want to talk about. One is in Columbia. 3 years ago on Christmas Eve night at 4 o'clock, tornado came through Columbia, Mississippi, outside Scotland. We got a lot of towers there, just like we do here in Octavia County. And I called Berkeley Hall, who's the sheriff down there. I said, Berkeley, y'all okay? He said, man, we're talking down here. I said, well, one tornado hit one of those towers down here. We've got a cow coming. That's cellular on wheels, coming down there. Within 6 hours on Christmas Eve night after that storm hit, we had my competitors out there.
We did the same thing in Craig Springs.
And we did the same thing to Craig Springs. So when the Craig Springs, that tower, very believe it or not, very seldom the towers take a direct hit. That tower took a direct hit. Within the next day, we had a cow up there. Bottom line. So, y'all remember the Louisville tornado? So our network, our wireless network remained unscathed. I mean, we got generators, all these cell sites. They run on generators. But about 3 days later, we need some help. We don't have internet at the hospitals. We don't have internet at these emergency modular hospital units we're bringing in. We don't have internet at the National Guard. I said, if y'all called your current state provider, who would start 2 fiber optic crews and ran fiber to those hospitals, lock, stock, and barrel, at our cost. That was a several $100,000 project. That's just what we do for the states. A couple other things. The Marine Corps crash. Again, we get a call from MEMA at the Inabita. That's at C-130. Was that 2017, 2018? And again, that was Stephen McCraney, who's now the new director of MEMA. Calls us, TK, we need high-speed internet at the Emergency Command Center. I said, well, we got hotspots. He said, no, you don't understand. We need like a gigabit phone calls, and we took two fiber crews up there. I mean, 2 tower crews. They put a microwave dish on the antenna, put it on the command center, ran some fiber. Again, this is 4 o'clock on a Friday. With 16 hours of that happening, we had a wireless facility. Last thing I want to talk about, we were eating lunch with Kristen. What day? I think it was on Wednesday. On Wednesday, she goes, "Yeah, we got this. Was that last year?
No, a couple years ago.
A couple years ago. Seemed like last year." And she says, "We got this big event at Sturgis." I said, "Gosh, that's gonna blow our network up." I made some phone calls. Went back down and had a meeting at 6 o'clock that day with our tower guys, and that was on Wednesday. We put up 3 small cells. Not only all the bikers, but you know all the first responders that are there had coverage, and that's just what we did at our own expense there. Okay. That second bullet point up here, L site in Activity Hall County has permanent man generators here. Again, those cell sites run off electricity, and the generators pick up. Okay, go to the next one, Brian. I'm gonna give y'all a clip note version. Hang on out. What y'all see here, y'all seen by the B.O.S Center, we put up what we call a coat. That is a cellular on light truck, and we do this for these large events. We also bring in these colts and cows that set on wheels, like a football game. When they have Bulldog Bash here, we put a cow up right over here. So all the people, you get 5,000 people sitting in one spot, 4,000 people or 2,000, it blows your network up. We do this for capacity. Go to the next slide, Brian. So there's one thing that we do when our competition, when they come in, they're going to talk about they got this public safety network and hold it. C-Spire's network has always been first responder ready, always. We provide what we call data for this. And what that is, what data party is, if I said everybody in here, that's all it is. It is a free feature. Once it's added, you have it all the time. So if you're at Mississippi State football game and you got data party, all your information, all your data sessions is going through first.
It does not have to be a government paid phone.
That's right. So I've got that. I'm gonna cover that on the next slide. You clip note version going here. Okay, so these 43.49. That's if you want to use your phone as a hotspot as well. And $39.49 a month, totally unlimited. That you're on here with the county at all. And these rates are for our first responders and the sheriff's department. Now, if you got your own C-Spire phone and don't choose not to carry a county phone, you can get these rates and it's a first responder. You can get these rates. period. That 39.49, you can get that on your personal phone. Okay. So anyway, I want to give y'all just a little highlight of what we're doing in the network, what we're doing with our counties, do business with ceasefire, and over 85% of the cities and 85% of the Catholic University in the state of Mississippi. So we are here for you.
I have a question, if it's
Please.
okay. What can we do as a county, or is make certain that internet accessibility is there?
So, yes.
What can we do to help facilitate working for this board, or as a member in Jackson, is I would move out in the county, but for
You and every county in the state of Mississippi to ask that question, and I am, ceasefire, quite frankly, has only been in internet, pushing internet commercially, run with our own fiber, okay, to businesses and to government type accounts. And then 13, we started rolling out to homes, and those are, quite frankly, I've had, at least 40 conversations with different counties, the same conversation. And to me, and we support it 100%, the way to get that, and that's the day that, I remember Forest County folks, Chris Bowen called me, right, good friends with him down in Forest County, and Chris says, "Hey, what we need?" I said, "Guys, I'm gonna tell you, you're going to get these co-ops. This is back before brand needs to be pushed to really get out in the rural, very rural areas."
Those places that maybe the schools already run fiber, but it's not with them, because they would stop and pick up those homes.
So
I think too that we just need to make sure that, if the school systems and things like that, the government agencies that have run fiber with a different plan to switch, then ceasefire would, when they run the fiber to the school, they would pick up all those homes along the way. I think that would be beneficial too, to make sure people are aware of that.
Is it naive for me to think that a tower?
A lot of people say that wireless. The problem, the biggest problem with the wireless piece, it's called pine trees and hills, and it is. We got into, AT&T has talked about it, they've gotten into it where they run, and we actually got into it. We had a group hired.
Yeah.
Believe it, in Mississippi Delta, Brian worked with it.
Yeah.
And we because it's all line of sight.
Right.
And we just said that if we're not going to do it right, we're not going to get into it. And we shut it down.
And that could even be fixed through a satellite, because you're still going to have that same problem with clouds or tree lights.
Product and everything, but it just creeps.
Right.
That's the whole deal.
Getting what you said, and Zach wrote the article. For county say that everything works out, so they'll have it everybody about 4 years. With the article that he wrote from
that's how it's done. They've got the infrastructure. They can run. The only bad thing about it, they run on telephone poles, but it works, and that's how it's going to get out.
Well, the new poles have
We'd be broken in about 5 months.
They're doing all those poles that are taller right now.
Yeah.
To do it, and they have that thing on the top that's already manufactured.
But what we can do as a county is that when they go in and tear these folks' yards up and mess these driveways up, we need to fix them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we can do as a county. Those ditches and stuff straighten out for folks.
That'll be our end of it.
That'll be our end of making this thing go smooth.
Yep. Y'all always start getting, good news is that they'll get it. Bad news is y'all gonna start getting complaints about the yard. Trust me, we get
about
it.
roadway and stuff.
The boring stuff done a tremendous job.
Yeah.
And gone back and fixed everybody's yard.
And it's gonna be issues.
So but y'all have always addressed them. You've done a great job.
We appreciate y'all.
Anyway, we appreciate y'all. Don Posey back in the early 2000s, good guy there, and Kristen and Sheriff and all those. We appreciate y'all's business, ceasefire.
Miss Emily's about to retire.
Huh?
Miss Emily's going to retire.
You can't. We're going to break somebody else. We got to break somebody else in. You can't do that to us.
Here are modems. This right here is a wireless modem that can be used in in-vehicle settings. Some of the things that this is used for is for sheriff's cars. We have them on buses. The school districts actually use these for distant off of them. But just to give you a little background on what it is, this particular unit pulls off our cell signal and it actually converts a regular signal into an Ethernet signal. So you can actually run, like I mentioned, be ideal for that. A couple other things too. let's see, with police cruisers, highway patrol.
They all run. Most everybody's using that for the laptop.
Well,
you got to get a cell signal, and then you got what we've done. What we've done, especially for is put up a outside antenna. Antenna. You remember the.
Sort of similar to our fixed wireless deal we did over in the Delta. You know, we had the wireless antenna that was out there that had to really get a direct line of sight from that cell tower. It's kind of sort of the same concept. Tower goes down, this could be your backup, but this pulls off a cell site here.
They work at my house.
What's the cost? The cost of this unit is $519 on the state contract.
So mainly the vast majority of the usage is with the in-car laptops, sheriff's departments, police departments. Highway Patrol's got 450 in them. MDOT's got 250 of them. With a laptop, but the beauty of this particular device is you can run several different applications, cameras, the whole 9 yards with this. And the other thing is, and for our EMA and first responders, it will create a Wi-Fi hotspot within to help out. They don't have Wi-Fi or can't use their cell phone. They can do it with this device.
So
anyway.
Yeah, definitely the sheriff's department, law enforcement, couple things, the LPR license plate readers. As these vehicles become smarter, they got all the leads, the football field that have the Wi-Fi needed for body cams to do live feeds if needed. And GPS is one thing, monitoring the vehicle. Vehicle diagnostics is one thing that's here. Preaches on with this device. Or MP7 you see on here.
Yeah, I've got a slide on the background.
We have 2 of those. This is what I purchased last year. So we have one that's in my truck. So if we roll to a scene, up to 100 people can get on it.
Yeah.
If we're in one of those remote areas, but that's a concrete dome, and it works much better than they have a little hotspot.
Is it available to the public, residential?
It is, but what I like to tell folks, you got those consumer plans, and they limit your data usage on a lot of that. So you just you don't believe some of the stuff, but we put out 15,000 of these hotspots already. Sort of schools around the state. You don't believe some of the usage. I think they're lining up the whole apartment complex with some of these
limit on this device. Yeah.
We appreciate y'all. Thank you. Yes, sir. Good to see y'all. We'll see y'all at the see y'all in the supervisor conference.
Follow-up information on you all. Okay. Could you leave some follow-up information, please?
And I don't have answers. I can find somebody that has an answer for it. Thank you. Oh yeah, thank you all for having me.
Can we get a motion to acknowledge ceasefire support, please?
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Conley, second by Supervisor Trainer, to acknowledge more with Supervisor Howard after.
I'm just saying. Huh? Oh, yeah, I agree. I already said that.
Next on the agenda, road manager report, Mr. Beck.
I already said that. Beginning of the meeting.
We're gonna be out here.
Hey, good day. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning.
You want to leave with you? You want to leave with you? What you leave us behind?
There's a copy of the road manager's report.
Can you tell us down on how many people are out and stuff like that? I know that's an issue right now, and I just know the grading of the roads in District 4 has been a...
We have 8 people out. That's probably 20% of the employees in the road department. And most of those are key positions. They're not just laborers, they're superintendents and foremen.
Getting bombarded, sometimes it helps if we know in advance. Email from you that there are that many people out, like if the road foreman's out and things like that. That way we can share that with the consumer when they call and don't understand why the road has bus spots in it.
I'll do that. Sale of trucks. We purchased trucks, and I'd like to have send us an auction I submitted 4 different, proposals to, the administrator.
Which trucks?
The trucks are there now,
The Western Star.
the Western Stars,
Western Star.
right,
How many of those
5,
are they not?
big. I'm sorry.
Replace it.
Yeah. So we want to take those 5 to the auction? Yeah. And a low boy. We got another low boy. Have a motion to take, 5 Western Star trucks to auction plus the low boy. Do we have a motion on that? So moved by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor?
I do have a question though, which auction you want to take it to?
We have proposals and I've looked at them. I don't know if, Emily's reviewed them yet.
No, I got those late Friday afternoon, and I have not had the opportunity to read.
There was one of the auctions, I do apologize, it's not coming up at the moment. And of course, all of them are a lot like this now, is that they, in other words, have online.
I think they're all awesome that way.
The next question I had was about,
Just so when it comes out, I just, for the future, did you read those? The request?
With them putting those little things on those buses, we ought to put more bus turnarounds out there to get into this and do out the county.
Another perk to be a school bus driver, you get in and out at your house.
And folks,
That's what my school bus
Willie was, Montgomery was gonna do bus around all the way down. No, that's for the county.
Yeah,
That's for supervisors.
I was gonna do the bus turnarounds under mine, and then we were gonna talk about
So we could,
whatever. I'm fine with
I'm
it.
sorry, Miss Emily.
The reason I pointed that is because you listed, there's like almost 70 bus turnarounds that we're taking care of right now, people's driveways, so
Right, I mean, I just put it in there for the board to see, but
that's a
well, I
lot.
was talking about specific, we had a couple.
Ones in the package.
Yeah,
God, we can do bus turnarounds at any time. And now, I would like to mention that I had sent it to the barracks and compared to what they have. So, and they haven't gotten back to me on that.
let me make sure I'm clear on this too now. This wasn't a general conversation about bus turnarounds, I brought it.
No,
So, would you be more specific in terms of what? Bibbs Road. Bibbs Road, okay.
Did we approved it, so my suggestion would be to go ahead and move forward with whatever you think needs to happen.
We heard this road is a bus turnaround. His concern is not.
you can copy the pictures.
I did get copies of some pictures that.
Hold on, let's see. And that way, I think that's the thing.
Those were in our last meeting.
No,
I thought it was in the last meeting, or put them in the box this morning.
Okay, how many people are we talking here now? Do we have someone on the floor that's talking about Bibbs Road? That's what I want to thank all of you. Is there a comment and then
We approved it, and so whatever you think needs to happen to it, with that one and the other one, go ahead and move forward.
I think that's the problem, is whatever you think that needs to happen. I think, in my thing, I think that we need to do what's legal on school bus turnarounds. But I think Rob, actually, legally, what we're supposed to be doing on each one of these, and that's the reason I think he needs a copy of the pictures so he can see, because he wasn't here last time, so he can see exactly what we're talking about. I think that's what, because I mean, grade it once a year or whatever it is. I mean, it's pretty specific on those AG opinions on what we're supposed to do, I think.
Well, I think it has a lot of discretion, and so let's just do it. I mean, within the discretion, it hadn't been an issue in the past. By this one being a new one, they're quite natural. You know, it may need a little bit more initially, but I think as far as the maintenance of it, I think it'll probably be just like the rest of them.
Bibbs has been on over a year.
right, it's already approved as bus turnaround. The last ruling on Mississippi Code is 2010, I believe, as it relates to 19.342. Am I right?
Yes.
Let me see. The Board of Supervisors of any county is hereby authorized and empowered in its discretion to grade, gravel, and maintain private gravel or shale road or driveway to private resident if such roads clears the nose on your face, that we have the discretion to do this. We have the power to do it. We are empowered. And I'll read again. We are empowered to grade, gravel, to be done, not ours, because I can't repair a road. And I don't believe these supervisors will come out there and tell you whether or not to grade it, whether or not to gravel it, whether or not to repair it. The school asks that we get the students that address that's already been approved, 241 B.O.S. Road, is so close to Theodis Road. You are aware of that?
Yeah, they connect.
365 Theodis is a house right there by 241 B.O.S. So it really, you don't have to come all the way to the end of B.O.S. coming off the main road. You can come there. I mean, I can't tell you what to do. The school asks that we get the students to school.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know who on this board can come out and tell you whether you need to grade, gravel, or repair.
May I ask Attorney Roberts a question? In here in the law, it talks about the school helping cover an expense, and then it gives AG opinions about what we're not supposed to do. So, because there's a lot of area to take advantage. So, have we talked to the school? Have we got a clear way to, you do? Okay.
I've already talked to the bus superintendent, Kevin
Gibson.
Thank you. The board is trying to make certain that these things are taken care of as quickly as they possibly can be taken care of, and which is good. That's a good thing. But from a procedural standpoint, and of course following what we should do, and sometimes that's kind of a pain, and I realize that. Here is what I was told from the AG's office, and this is the conversation that he and I had, the superintendent for the buses. The procedural manner that if there is something that needs to be done, they are to, and all of this should be done in writing, because from my perspective, it doesn't exist unless it's done in writing. And if they send us the list of bus turnarounds, and they need to do that at least once, those deficiencies need to be told to us. Let us know what those deficiencies are, whether that be any of the things that are listed in there that we're allowed to do. From y'all's standpoint, and I know what's happening, a lot of times you're getting a phone call and that's a good thing. But the main thing I need from a legal standpoint is to make certain that is documented, that it's been a request from the bus superintendent to us, and that way we're kind of kept in line.
To me, in the AG opinion, the rule doesn't say you do the entire driveway. It says you do the end of the driveway as a bus turnaround.
I think the intent is to whatever part.
But you understand, most of these on this list are not school bus turnarounds. They're school bus parking for the school bus driver. It's not actually a turnaround where they're turning around. It's a school bus driver taking the school bus to his house. A lot of these are.
They clarified that today.
School bus driver taking the school bus to their house, is Mr. Baggett supposed to gravel the entire driveway?
Wherever it is that the bus is sitting. In other words, they can't go, use me for this example so that we're not getting off on somebody else's particular mile. In that situation, whatever portion that bus actually would have to use to turn around or whatever, you could throw around. You couldn't create a road. In other words, you couldn't go out there and make my road over again. But what you can, the law does state that if this becomes a burden on whatever county, that the school district can be asked to help, take care of some of that. But whatever portion the bus actually touches, like put gravel on the whole parking lot.
So if you drive, your driveway's really long.
Right.
So if you drive your bus, you're a bus driver, and you drive your bus all the way to the house, the county's supposed to gravel that entire road?
You can maintain
Gravel, grade it.
no, that's not what it says. What it says is if the bus superintendent goes out there and sees that there is a major issue, and what we're depending on is, and this is where the procedural stuff for us is, once we depend on a situation that we are depending on that school district to make certain that's correct. Now, it would appear that some of the things that have been listed just have never been taken off the list, and those are things that were part that bus is using. We're able to go out and maintain it. We can't create anything, but we need for backup, for the board to be protected. That needs to be requested from the bus superintendent, and then it needs to be documented in here.
Children can get to school and stuff, but when you're talking about maintaining 70 personal driveways, that all comes out of road money for citizens' roads, and so if we've got 70 driveways that are as long as yours that we're maintaining, that's a different amount, so we know that specific maintenance was done for that bus turnaround, and that way we have a dollar figure to go along with the 68 driveways that are currently listed.
My driveway would be a substantial burden on the county. I'm just being very honest.
This deal with B.O.S. is we're maintaining it. B.O.S. is a 911 road. And so we're maintaining it from where it meets the county road, all the way down to the end to where the bus is turning around. It's not just a drive.
It seems to me we're sort of talking about kind of two different things. One is an already established school bus turnaround and the things we can do. The second one is creating a school bus turnaround, which is two at the last meeting, a meeting before. This board just needs to sit down and establish what policy they want to go by. I mean, based on the laws, if you want the initial request and you require him to actually go out and do an inspection and come back with the scope of work being presented to the board, it's going to determine, this board is going to have to sit down and determine and be clear on maintaining what we can do to maintain one, but creating a new one. I'm just, we've got to sit down here and establish a policy. We want to try to help as much as we can, but like Supervisor Miller said, we want to make sure that
Turn around, and this is what the law is very strict on. We're only maintaining these 1 year at a time. So we're going to maintain it for 12 months. If he don't come back and ask for it to be continued to be a school bus, he has been asked to do something with that is no longer on my list for a school bus turnaround, but the supervisors might not know it's not on my list for a school bus turnaround and still requesting them to be maintained.
So when will the school board get back and
Where they're at on that.
and going forward, we could ask them to present a current list each year.
Yes, that's what they're supposed to. They're supposed to.
Yeah.
And that's what they have been laxed on.
But in the meantime, I call Mr. Gibson. Sometimes he'll say yes, sometimes he says no, but he'll cross-check it and say, hey, I got a student at 99 and 119, or no, there used to be a student there 2 years ago, take that one off the list. And he's always been prompt to get back with me.
I think that tells us what kind of information we need to get from the school board. But I think we need to keep in mind too that the school board designate the authority to the transportation department, I would think.
That is correct. Superintendent, Mr. Gibson is our contact person, so that we've got that part really clear. But from y'all's perspective, and I can tell you what's a lot of times happening, you're getting a phone call or you're running into somebody when they were supposed to because they got stuck. And we're getting this stuff in the middle of the transaction and trying to get stuff fixed. And what we have to do from just a procedural standpoint, so that it sticks and stays. We've got to hear, our position should be it drops off, whatever that list is, because year to year, because
How often do we have a school bus get stuck? I'm just saying. I mean, I think my concern is what we're doing on private property for driveways. That's my main concern is, are we stretching by building these driveways, maintaining driveways, because we have done that.
On 911 roads.
Or 911 roads. I mean, are we?
and those are legitimate concerns. Here is what I was told. So long as we are getting the list, and when I say request, it needs to be a written request because there's no way for us to prove it
Does it need to
otherwise.
be? Those are very vague.
Well, it needs to be a little better than.
So can we address that with him since you've seen the request? I mean, that's very vague.
I can talk to him and make certain it's more specific and a bad position because
yes.
you're walking out there trying to figure out, well, what am I supposed to do here?
Legally.
When you do work on a bus turnaround, you put it specifically as a bus turnaround work in the report.
Yes, 'cause it's
I mean, as long as you do that, I think you'll cover yourself.
But in order, it has to be created. A school bus turnaround has to be created. And what does the law say, what's the policy to have a school bus turnaround created?
School bus.
It had to come from somewhere. A school bus turnaround had to.
Yeah, I mean, all they're saying is, we're gonna turn, this person's allowing us to pull in this driveway and back out.
Mhm.
And all we're supposed to do is put some gravel on there, once a year or so, turn around. We're just allowing it to turn around in that existing area that's already there.
Unless, for instance, a school bus is having to back into traffic to get turned around. Then that should fall. Let me just run off of Perkins Road into my mom's driveway. Pull on up to her house just about, and then back up to get turned around and go back out. Well, depending on which school bus driver it is, when they backing up, they don't stay in the driveway and they make ruts. And I take my tractor and fix it a lot of times. Every now and then to get to the point to where I have to have a little gravel. But it's probably going to be more than once a year, at least twice a year sometimes, depending on if it says once a year.
I don't know, because that's a good question, because everything's been bringing up good questions, because everybody's definition is not the same of what about the whole deal, what you're supposed to do with it. And I know we're not supposed to be able to pay it or anything. And so my understanding of it is whatever's there now, you just keep it like that. So that is a good question that we still need further clarification on.
So here's the thing, y'all, if we, superintendent, so long as we are going on in a more, and frankly, I'd like a better,
Yeah,
more
and
specific.
when you're doing this, can you have him, I didn't mean to interrupt you, excuse me, but the thought just popped in my head. Can you have him designate what, okay, and that way we would know if it's, of the 70, if only 20 of them are actually turnarounds and the rest of them are people driving the bus to their house.
Here's another thought, Supervisor Miller, too, and it just came in my head. To clear the air.
I think we're gonna have
So I would like to ask, Ms. England, could you ask Mr. Gibson to come into our next board meeting?
I think that's an excellent idea, but the main thing that I want to make certain from protecting in the meantime is when the request is made and it's coming directly from our school board, that request is our protection. That is, I'm not going out there and just deciding what
justification.
Right. I'm looking for justification as to what we're doing. And I basically asked the AG's office, I said, what are you looking for if you go after a situation like this? What are you looking for? Because you are depending on them to make that decision. When I say them, I mean the school board, and in that situation, the superintendent has asked the superintendent of buses, Mr. Gibson, to make this decision. So long as we're making that decision as to what we do based on him, we're doing it based on that. And that, my biggest issue with the way we're doing it is we've got to get the list cleaned up, because goodness knows it seems like this thing is growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And the secondary thing is to make certain that patient is this. So those are the two things. But I think getting him here and making certain he understands what we're needing.
We've got a lot of questions and we're searching for answers. I would like to have him here while we're doing it.
Yes, sir.
Well, that, and I think specific legal response.
You said it is considered a burden on Occidental County. We're free to ask them to, let's say a line item, 10,000, 5,000, whatever the number is for gravel, for.
We absolutely could ask.
Because I try to get them back. So sometimes they get off, in other words, in error, you know, and they may back into a yard that is not a bus turnaround. I specifically have people, a lot of times, you know, when they see the bus turning around in their yard, they quite frankly don't want that bus turn around in their yard anymore. It makes ruts, things like that. So,
as far as the turn, they are supposed to go to specific places. I asked them about that. That's supposedly what they're doing.
Here'd be a smart idea too. We've got, you say 68, 70 bus turnarounds. Would it not be something that our sign shop or somebody could make a specific reflector? This is a bus turnaround. Put it back X many feet.
I think
it's
the
not
board
there,
can
then
make
it's
that
not.
decision. Absolutely, I think that's something that we could do. And
I think that once we get the list of which ones are actually bus turnarounds and which ones are driveways, people parking buses, I think that's going to show us. That'd be a lot of light on the situation. So.
But I do have a question about that though.
Yeah.
If at the end of the route, I mean, what do we expect them to park? I'm just asking. Where will they?
It said that, okay, if they wanted a build at their house for it, they need to do that at their expense, property owner's expense to do that.
So if they create it, then we allow them to maintain it, correct?
Yes, if they went out and created that, and they built it and everything, then we can go back to gravel and stuff on it. But we can't go out there and build that pad for that.
Right. We cannot create a road or a pad or anything like that. We can maintain it, we can grade it, we can put gravel down on it, but we can't create something.
Can't improve it.
Right, we cannot improve the land. Is what it comes down to.
We can improve the value of it.
School. We need school bus drivers. I know last year they were searching for kids having to wait till one driver make a route and come back and go make another route. So I'm wondering where is the leeway, and again, we don't want school bus drivers if they say, well, if you drive a bus, you gotta, and you need to park it somewhere, you gotta come out your pocket and build a pad first.
Well, I think that's where it says the school can pay for it.
Yeah, the student does that.
Okay.
You know, it does say that in the law that the school can pay that.
Way to work through this.
That way the taxpayers are not paying for that out of the road budget.
Yeah.
The school is actually paying for the bus driver to have a bus pad in his house.
Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. I mean, we had this conversation and brought this out so that, you know, they wouldn't think it first of all. But now we can maintain it, so it's
And I've never.
you need some direction on.
I hear.
You still have got.
I'm good.
Okay, you good?
When the Mississippi Code, the Mississippi Code just asks for the name of the person and the address. Now, what we are asking that Mr. Gibson add something to this letter, to say something to the exact amount of dollars, I guess that's what you're asking. That something more specific needs to be added, but he is following the Mississippi Code guideline. One person is up here, the name of the person and the address of the person and their telephone number. This is what the Mississippi Code asking. We're asking him to make another statement on his sheet to indicate that he does understand.
You know, to me, I think Mr. Gibson has initiated the process. Then it's up to our road manager.
We can go out and grade it, we can maintain it, but from that standpoint, we can't go outside those parameters. And I think that's probably a specific issue like something that that we may not be aware of, and just to help us along. I'm not asking you to do anything or something that we're just not aware of, so.
Based on what we have now, and this is a approved bus turnaround, based on that move, whatever he thinks is necessary, as long as it's not too expensive. And that's that's the gravel. So is it feasible to go out and at least gravel that section?
That's up to
Okay.
y'all in terms
Well,
of.
we address and maintain that driveway. Mr. Baggett's problem is from getting to the county road down to that $8.
$1,250.
That's for the materials, then you got your labor.
Oh,
and
you put
equipment.
everything in it, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be about $3,000.
$3,000.
And they may not even be aware of
And
it.
they may not know that, and then we come to that, so, yeah.
That's where we're getting this problem.
Contact the school board and say, this is gonna cost X amount of dollars, we can or cannot do it.
But wait a minute, talking about, correct?
Right.
So now what we're talking about is actually getting from a county road to that school bus tunnel. The portion of the road to get to your school bus tunnel.
Is that school bus turnaround a school bus turnaround, or is it a parking for a school bus driver? I'm just, do we know, I mean.
So once it's been established, we can take care of it.
I hate to do this, but which particular, is it these two that we're?
Those two.
Okay, Mr. Baggett, to get to that school bus turnaround, what do you got to do?
Already been approved.
Put some, probably 4 to 6 inches water gravel on top of that.
To get to the school bus turnaround.
Right, it's about $1,250. What's the
Materials. And equipment, or you don't have to.
Got a handout?
Yeah,
No.
road.
You get it back to me, or not?
A couple of dump trucks.
This is a question I have, and this is a question, not a statement.
Just the road.
This is a 911
So we
road,
got
correct?
from playground first.
For us to maintain
That's
that,
the school bus turnaround.
so it could be done based on that.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure my head's clear of
We
what we're talking about
we
here.
can maintain from where that school bus turn, from on that 911 road where it meets the county road down to the school bus turnaround.
That was confusing to me because I didn't quite understand that part of that dynamic.
Yeah, that's where it gets complicated.
Thank you.
Okay, now, I have a question, is the road department, I guess it is, the road department charged with picking up the paper on the road? Is that part of the road department's charge to pick up paper? But the thing is, Mr. Kelly has now the school district.
Because of COVID.
His school comes from, she does, she works. So one person?
I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought everyone knew that he wasn't getting any help.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was getting help
I
again.
knew he was having less help.
If county employees are responsible,
Is it the road
Oh, the road department, yeah, because if the road department is, then, well, I just think the supervisors need to tell me what I need to do. Do I need to try to hire more people and pick up paper?
Can you revisit that? And maybe the board may can reconsider that. And I guess what you're saying is there has to be some type of, our roads all across Canada are getting trashed up pretty good. And I mean, and as far as having county employees pick up paper, I don't have a problem with that, but if you got a guy, a $60,000 employee picking up papers.
in my argument about woman, road department to deliver garbage can. I mean, it's gonna take 1 hour to deliver a garbage can at a minimum. So when you think about it, if you take 600 hours away from the road department delivering garbage cans, look at what the road department did when we've got vehicles and we can deliver garbage cans. So the same thing.
Right at the same time. The flip side of it is that if, before we make any change, the contract says that we're not responsible for the living.
And it does, it says in the contract. But
We always talk about saving money. We've got a vehicle, we've got enough strength to pick up a garbage can.
His question concerning the trash, I think it is the road department's responsibility by way of the county and other life. And I think all of us have taken on trying to get out and pick up paper, but I mean, you just, it's gonna have to be a more concerted effort.
yeah.
We need to look at county work and community pickup days. We need to look at doing capital campaigns or run ads in the paper, ask each individual in the county to be responsible for 300 foot of right of way in front of their property, whatever we can.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And just have to give it some thought and come up with some way, some kind of incentive or something to make it better.
I had a gentleman, like 2 other people showed up, and they had to leave at 9 o'clock. I mean, it was tough, you know.
Chief Jones, I want, when the inmates go help pick up trash.
Goes toward, each hour goes toward their time. I know that's how it is with our runners.
Okay.
And I've talked with the judges about, coming up with something. I think the attorney's gonna be doing some research, and maybe we can come up with some kind of situation. But now you can't just put, they sit up there, I said, well now you can't just get anybody out there to do that. And I think that a lot of the people that have enough for us, for them to sit down there, you know what it means to me.
Chief, we were talking about using inmates to pick up trash.
So, yes, they are not picking up trash. They have breaks where they can go outside and smoke, where a regular inmate cannot do it. They have different things that they're COVID. We're not keeping, we're ROR and people on misdemeanor crime. We won't take them. So we're full of people that we don't really have the authority to put out on the street because they're not our prisoners, they're the state prisoners. Or last week that was on the road before.
Is these that just creating these fines that some type of program where they come pick up garbage anyway?
I actually talked to Judge Carpenter last week, and the decision needs to be made. Do they report to the jail and be picked up at the jail, or do they just need to report to wherever Don is?
They would need to report to the jail and be picked up there.
I mean, that's to check them out and that kind of stuff. You know, the other problem that we have is if you don't show up, what happens? Because right now, we're not serving warrants. So if you issue a warrant, it's not any good. We're going to pick you up, we're going to bring you in, process.
I don't know where it's going to be, but, okay.
And I think, Robbie, you'll be able to answer this. I think there's a new law that if they have an old fine that they're working off, it can.
Do you feel like if we had a program similar to what the city of Starkville has had, their work program, that we could get that and it function, work and things like that? But do you think that we're capable of putting it together and it operate the way you feel like it would need to operate?
Yes, that can go out and watch them on the side of the road. That's where our problem falls. The city of Starkville has, and when they're not in court, they're able to watch the people on the work program.
Under the sheriff department for that to.
I think he's deputized.
Okay.
I think he is.
Okay, that's even better. Will that satisfy us together from your standpoint?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get with you, and we'll get with the justice court, and if it's the okay, I get the okay. A couple of weeks, 3, whenever we can present.
I do have a question, and I don't mean to be a fly in the ointment with COVID going on. How many people can be in a vehicle?
The issue that we're going to have with that is depending on what the governor does every Thursday or Friday, whatever day it is.
What I'm saying is, as of now, in the vehicle.
I think the driver and 3, which would be 4. Okay. However, before I sit here and say that, I would feel better all the way around to be able to tackle this and give the justice court another parameters for them to be able to work this off. It's just going to be sitting out there, and I mean that's in my opinion that's not right.
Back. I mean, we need it as a county. No, I was like Supervisor Train was saying, we got to be creative and find a way to. Because I mean, right now Bluecut Road and Bluefield Road, I'm that close to just saying, I'm gonna take a day off and we'll pick it up.
So I think what we're talking about now is people who have old fines that are not paying anyway.
You're right, but they're not incarcerated.
They're not incarcerated.
So why would they have to report to the jail? And get in and report that back to the jail, or report that back to circuit justice court. I don't see a need for them to have to. They're out. They can report their job site themselves, and someone can mark them off and say he worked for so many hours. I've had some individuals to do that with some projects that I worked on, and they just
Make sure of that.
to verify that they do what they're right.
And we can do that, Mr. President, because as of this point right now, there is absolutely no sheets. We can design it however the board wants us to, because there is no.
Gotta figure out how to implement it, and you help us come up with
Yes, sir.
a process to implement. That's a good idea.
Well, we're lucky that we have people that have experience that currently work with us that know how a lot of this works anyway. So I think
The school in the aid community who would like to pick up some paper. And I think it would be good if maybe a sheriff car would be at present to make sure the traffic doesn't get too fast.
Okay.
And individuals get somehow.
Whatever you need from us, you just let me know and I'll have a car there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, we got that taken care of. One other observation, and Supervisor Trainer had a good idea, I think, about some individuals who volunteer service. And I had a young lady call me, I don't care. So I think if we get in touch with sororities and fraternities, those individuals who are pledging need volunteer hours. So that's one way to get some help too as well. Some baggage is still.
I'm good to go. No, I'm good to go now on B.O.S. Road.
You good to go?
while we have him, we'll go ahead and do trail boss so that we'll make sure we're okay.
Okay, he's clear with that, so we have a motion to. Oh, you got that, okay, that's right. Do we have any additional questions for the margin orders on that? You clear? Okay. Do you have any more questions or comments from Mr. Bagley?
Well, just, go ahead, Mr. Bagley. Go ahead.
I have one more thing, one of the residents collected the signatures, but the administrator brought to my attention that on the sheet where the signatures are, there aren't any, I mean, it's not state why they collected the signatures. And she was adamant that she had told the people that it was done, and I don't know what to do from that point.
She did not have the cover sheet, and she got all the signatures. And Circle Road signed it, not all of them signed it. So, do we go ahead or not go ahead?
Let me ask you this, and this is a Rob question, and what I've always had as my, on the road, somebody comes with a car that's low, go over that hump and scratch the car real loud. Are we not?
We are.
But whatever we do, it needs to be professionally done. You know, we don't just go out there and just take some cold mix and throw it out there. It needs
Besides, at each speed bump, we put a sign up stating that there's a speed bump right there.
So you're just doing these bolt down speed bumps? Or are you gonna create one like on Hawaii Drive?
Voting them down.
We
Bolt
vote
down.
Yeah, we voted them down. There's some on,
forward to, I think. Are there some on Oak?
we took those.
Oh, y'all took those.
Right. But
And the thing is, they have to be in a community. They can't be just on a
That's being subdivision here.
Right. And we also determine what is consistent. And if we have one at 100 feet or 200 feet, then all of them at that speed. And we also put signs up prior to actually starting. Like, we're gonna do these, when we order the speed bumps, we go out and put signs up stating that this area is gonna be.
We did have some concern previously where there was a person who had someone to sign a list and people didn't know why they were signing it. So just to be safe, I think to table that until that and then bring that back for approval.
Can we go a step further? Can the attorney, can you submit a letter in response to the information that we got?
Yes, sir.
And you can address it to
As
Ms.
far as
Palmer,
that,
and then include the documentation that we think that would be acceptable. And that way,
Each page that has signatures on it, we just need to make multiple copies of this, and I guess to make sure that that's what you're signing up. Not an attachment to it, but have multiple copies of this.
What Supervisor Williams is talking about, and food and
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking. Yeah, we can get all that from,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah, we can get that from Tony. I mean, we can lay out that whole circle and everything.
We'll have
Just to understand what.
And actually, where you wanna put them.
He wants them to do a diagram that's gonna be showing where we're gonna put it.
Normal strips, what they asking for?
That's speed bumps, but they,
I think they're like the ones out there beside my office.
Those yellow.
Yeah, yeah,
They'll
we're
slow
gonna
down.
go right outside of mine.
Necessary information at the top of these that they're invalid. So that's the issue that we're running into
She
with
will have
that.
to do it again. Sound like she ain't gonna.
So can I do a motion to table that request then until,
Second.
motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by, until we get, a sheet that really says what they assign, know what they assign.
right,
All in favor? Motion approved, so,
and Terry will get in touch with, will contact Ms. Scott.
That's the road as well.
Because it actually says on that thing, doesn't matter.
Did she have that?
Attached to it.
Before she put, did she have
No,
that
she
sheet?
didn't have it.
Okay, she didn't have it up, okay.
Was mailing it to her, but she came in with the signatures before he even had a chance to mail it to her.
Oh, yeah, I don't think it would take them long to do that.
I went back and looked up all of them to make sure that the ones on that's listed on Valley Circle, and it lived on Valley Circle and everything too, so I did do that for her. And like I said,
Hills Valley Circle, do you think there may be a covenant to supersede that?
I'm not certain. I don't think it probably is, but of course, if it is, I guess it'd probably be somewhere in the Chancery Clerk's office.
She may need to, you know what I mean, it might take 75% signature. I don't know what that,
yeah, that's,
Just to see if she.
50% may not be the number she needs.
Yeah, it is 75.
Yeah, 75%.
yeah, it's more than 50.
But maybe on this road where she's talking about.
yeah.
I don't think she's talking about the entire subject.
Yeah, the entire circle, people that signed it was like 50% of it, all these others.
The original drive has to use Valley Hill Circle to get out, because it's a dead end. It's one way in, one way out.
Yeah.
So they would, I guess, in theory, they would qualify, although their addresses are original, but they have to use Valley Hill Circle to get out of there. There's no other way, no other out.
See, I looked at them thinking, well, Richmond is on.
The other question from
Yeah,
Mr.
just a couple of observations. One, I think we approved for you to have the road graders redone back here some months ago. I was just wondering if you think it would be beneficial during this time of year till it breaks down, then have it done, or what do you think?
Yeah,
I mean, I would,
and
it's no guarantee that it's not, even if you have it done, but.
okay. The one I was talking about, the one we during the time we were having this discussion on regarding the graders, I was talking about the ones that needed a transmission, or maybe needed a motor. Parts in them, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that needed it, I've had it done.
You've had it done, okay, good enough, good enough.
Okay.
I have one thing I want to add, I'm sorry. I had feedback with Sprint's also called me, and they're just adamant that what happened to that machine was operator error, so I don't know what we're going to do on it, except way to fix it. I didn't get through that it was a defect, but it hadn't worked.
Okay.
Unless y'all have some other points y'all want me to bring out with them or anything. Okay.
I guess one other thing, before we're getting ready to go into our busy season, and a lot of hauling is gonna take place, a lot of dumping, and we started this conversation once about, well, Miss Emily, for y'all to pull the numbers on what we spent last year having to go to the landfill and dump. And maybe that'll give us incentive to, yes, not counting the fuel, wear and tear on vehicle, man hours away from job and stuff like that.
Because we've spent over 4,000 out of District 2 now in that area. So it's going to be a costly item.
And that's cheap, because I'm not far from the land.
Right.
You're the closest, well,
Yeah.
But you think time flies throughout the whole, picking up limbs was the problem. Taking down trees.
And also, in the meantime, maybe look at some little suitable plots of land that we have in the county that would be good target spots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, to consider.
And I've got some folks on roadside spraying, and looks like the same person is gonna be the low bidder this time. I will have that available at the next board meeting. I had to get them to go back and break it down for sure that it was not gonna have to be required to have a bid. But I do have that, so we can get that underway in February.
In conclusion, do you still think we need to vote? I'm asking the board for some information. Do we still need to have Mr. Gibson to come before the
I
board?
would extend the invitation, sure, yes.
Ms. Emily, could you take care of that?
I will, definitely.
I don't believe we need a motion to that effect. Okay. Got a motion to acknowledge Mr. Baggett's road manager report. In favor? Motion carries for.
I like you make going, you go ahead and pay trail boss. Is that gonna bring that to the rest?
I'll second that.
Before we, if I could.
I've got the check ready, but.
Okay, well, y'all
Heard here, and for the public, so that the public knows, but there was no purchase order on Trail Boss. When we sent a trailer over to be fixed, our regular way we do this is normally there's a PO for that particular thing before we got a purchase order to them. We're going to, after having a discussion with them, they apologized, they discounted the work done as an apology for that. There will be no purchase order on this. We can't go back and redo a purchase order. However,
I was trying to second my supervisor. I'm wondering if we move forward with paying Trail Boss Strip or repair Strip. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries forward.
It's working good now, Mr. Brown?
We can't pick it up.
Oh.
That form that's in my desk, so when somebody goes to get it, I probably need to send them the check with it, because I doubt if they're gonna let it go without the check.
Okay.
If you have a shake, a chimney, or anything, you turn it
They might not be the one that goes and gets it.
They did a good job on the rest.
I'm sorry for you having to wait so long, but would you please come forward and tell us
Okay. George and I have had several inquiries recently about grants, so we're both here
She got a
today.
chair for you too, Mr. George.
Ironically, I should say good morning. I have been to you before about the CDBG program. It's HUD monies that comes into the state of Mississippi, and it's distributed on $1 million this year, which is up just a little bit. That is split into two categories. The first one being public facilities, the second being economic development. And I've said this so many times, y'all can probably fill in the blanks. Questions will be accepted the week of May 17th through the 21st. May sounds like an awful long ways off, but in reality, it will be here before you know it. I've said that before. The clock is approximately $12 million set aside in this category. Only local units of government are eligible to apply, so that means counties and municipalities. So that narrows it down, you know. But if you think about it, that means communities, which are those municipalities with a population of 50,000 or more, receive their own set aside. So we'll pull them out of the bunch. That being said, $12 million will go $600,000 for counties. Municipalities, smaller municipalities have a set aside, and they can apply for up to $450,000. $50,000. They had enough money so that they could just divide it and everybody gets a piece of the pie, but that's not the way it works. So the rating factors for those applications, once again, water and sewer applications, top priority. Category 2, streets, roads, and bridges. Public buildings, as long as they do not deal with the day-to-day operation of government. So courthouses, city halls are not eligible unless they are addressing ADA improvements. Gas service extension or improvements, solid waste regs. There are a lot of items that are eligible, but the state of Mississippi's annual plan has narrowed it down to those activities. So the particular projects that you might have in mind, because I do know that we've both been contacted, so that you'd like to discuss.
I'd like for us to consider and I know this ranks high as a part of wastewater district, but I know they got some funds obligated, and I think it's maybe do a different pot of money. But got some constituents that were just outside the area that was done by Starwood and the Rock Hill community, and also some in the territory that at least some way they may be eligible for some kind of project to help them with some of the sewer challenges that they're having.
Okay. One of the first things that will have to be done is determine the beneficiaries. That those that will benefit have to be of low to moderate income. And unfortunately, I can't go to Toby and say, Toby, can you print me a map and show me the pockets of low mod areas? You can't do that. A door-to-door survey has to be of either the county or the sewer district. The PDD does not have the manpower because you are looking at it. You have got it. So there are some changes to the process of collecting that income information. No longer do we have to survey everybody. There is a randomized customers that there are, households, and there are other few variables, and it tells us how many have to be surveyed. Then we throw it into another program, and in essence of saying we want 1, 4, 6, 8, 10, so forth, it will tell us which ones. So anyway.
So it tells you who you need to serve? So you
can go next door.
So
that was the main obstacle with Sunset, for instance. You had to get 80%, and I think I got 4%. Because you just had doors slammed in your face.
Exactly. It is a challenge, especially now with COVID, because you can't have to obtain the signature of the individual in the household. So you could spare a little bit of time by handling it over the phone, but at some point you still have to have that face-to-face contact with that individual. And we were 2 days before the application was to be submitted, and they could not make those surveys. So it is a challenge, but any other sewer?
Central Water Association. And they have reached capacity on their well, their drinking water. The health department has told them they cannot add any new members to that well. So try to use Maven's water now for new customers. So I would like for us to consider that one too.
Okay. With water projects, I have spoken with their engineer and MDA by March the 26th, and that is a substantial amount of work. To my knowledge, they do not have a hard cost estimate yet. They're going to, and probably also to make the project whole, because I think due to the depth they're going to have of the well, they're going to need more than the $600,000. But in order, I don't know that we've got enough time to actually get an application. We have to have those matching funds in place the day that we submit the application. And if we went to state revolving loan program, we can get it turned around. It could be that they've got some money in their coffers and that they can do that. After talking with their engineer, which is Sheila Williams, I think she's a resident of the area. I would do is after meeting with you today that I would let her know that you would consider it, but it will take a formal request from that board. Same with the sewer district. That they'll have to come before the board. There's a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. You will be the grant recipient, so you are ultimately responsible for those dollars. And you will not be able to apply for any other public facility grants until, but that's counties all in our district reach out and help rural water associations. Georgia's had a sewer district that was over in Lowndes County, so yes, it can be done. And in fact, you'll get some bonus points. That would be for me.
Maybe what?
Yep, not before me though.
That's longer than 19 years ago.
To be competitive, though, you really need
I
a
don't
lot of
know
work
what-
between now
Right.
and, yeah.
So I told her that I would go with her to meet with the Water Association.
Okay.
So, and I'll be glad to meet with the sewer district. Does anybody else have a project?
Yeah, there are some progress that I'm training. I'm just wondering whether or not this project gonna stand alone or it's gonna be a part of East Activity Hall.
It would be a part of the East Oxford Water District. What needs to happen, go inside.
Down south,
But now, whether that area will be eligible for this grant, now that's gonna be where the road meets the road. That you're gonna be looking at low to mild.
And not contingency.
Well, it will be contingent, but it'll just be the dynamics of the area. You know,
Part of an established sewer district.
Right.
They're not
Yes.
going to go out and start.
No, it would be an extension of East
CDBG will not establish. They'll go into an area that's not currently being served, but they don't do.
Don't have sewer, have to do a survey with 100%.
Correct. So, there are a few little obstacles that we need to overcome. Meet with these. Do you want to meet with these? 2 or 3 projects?
If, I would like for you to meet, and you can let me know when the meeting is set, and I'll come sit in. I mean, we have to sort of see which one.
Will you coordinate your effort with Cliff Russell's office and rural development? Because they do similar projects.
Yes, sir.
In fact, I had one approved through that office, and I guess if we went through rural development, that we would not at the same time.
Okay.
Would that be possible?
So you are charging me with the responsibility of contacting Cliff Russell at USDA Rural Development District Office to try to coordinate his effort.
Should you do it, or should that local water association contact Cliff Russell's office?
They need to be the contact. They need to initiate the help. Reach out to rural development, because just because they reach out doesn't mean they're going to get 100. They won't get 100% grant.
No, it won't be that.
But it'll be a combination grant loan. But if threshold requirement of the CDBG program, then we certainly need to look at it. It may be too late this year for water because of that viability and because of that door-to-door survey.
Right.
But we've got to get it started at some point. Ms. Supervisor Trainer, how do you want me to handle the East Occidental Sewer District? Are you going to have someone contact me from there, or?
Right, I just sent Dwight Price off a text message, maybe I'll get him to call him.
Okay.
He's the manager.
Then they might not give you a grant if you're getting a grant from CDBG.
Now, they've already been approved.
Don't count that.
Well, that would be good, their match money would be in place.
So they've already approved the road development
But,
plus.
but like that has already been approved.
But now this project is already in plan. This will be.
Is it already under construction?
Not under construction. Hadn't been bid yet, but the money's had already been allocated for it.
Okay. All right. I'll also talk with Cliff about.
Coming to where courthouse meets 25. Old 25.
Oh, yeah. I think you're already looking at expanding. They've already expanded the, well, they're trying to expand the board footprint, I think, yeah.
And going, that way too, all of them got killed.
They want to come through the whole county.
Housing.
About housing. This is something here though that I'm just kind of thinking maybe out of the normal, so to speak. But we saw where public health and the health department is of critical need. But we didn't really have the facility in a way to accommodate. And those type of disease, viral infections, not going anywhere. So I was wondering whether or not there were anyone available on the public facilities to assist with our health department.
Health department is an eligible activity.
Ineligible?
Eligible.
Eligible.
It is an eligible
because
activity.
of most of the time low to moderate income being served.
Look at what your income will be.
Right.
For health department. We've done health departments in the past. Do you have any cost estimate yet?
Well, we could get a cost estimate of it. Building new. We do too much now with old buildings.
What?
I think we need to move forward with something new that's gonna last us for the next 50 years like that one has last.
Okay. Do you have?
We need to develop some plans and look for property.
And matching money.
How much?
$1,000 is the maximum grant size. And
Small health fund.
it
Well,
is.
I mean, like snowbirds.
Let's not be, there are other things to go along with your grant money. Could that be a possibility of not only the grants that you have through CDBG, but to look for other federal dollars to go. The grant coming in is what I'm asking.
What she said, it's got to be committed by the time you submit the CDBG. So not all agencies are on same time schedule.
What about this? And what about would that qualify or not?
It would be an eligible activity. Once again, though, you're going to have some match money in order to have a competitive application.
Right.
You're not going to get.
Do a remodel, and we put 600,000 on it.
You'll get some points. You'll
get the max points, but if you put in more than what you get, then you get more points. But most people just sell for the dollar beat that.
Well, we
It's
can
all
do dollar
competitive.
for dollar on a remodel. But
Yeah,
but it really don't have to all come out of our pocket. We can get it from somewhere else too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Just a thought.
Category
Yeah.
3.
But you know, if we talking about new construction rather than trying to
We do
spend half of it to go in and retrofit.
I mean, every time you come up here for us to do this, we never have our ducks in a row because we got such a short recruit. And what we need to do to be ready when the next time comes around. We'll already have our plans ready and everything.
Like in
And
July.
even though we didn't have any funding available, go ahead and have that all ready for if we do get.
And pull together your Christmas list, so to speak, to determine what your needs are. and then let us go after grants, rather than me come and say, okay, it's time to submit a CD the first of the year or beginning of the fiscal year, whenever. You need to try to determine what your needs are and say, B.O.S. George, this is our Christmas list, help us. And we can do that. It was pushed and when we submitted applications in July. But this year they're trying to get us back on the schedule and we're back to the May schedule. Now that could change, but right now the plan is to submit applications.
We told it down, and we'll be there for
The sewage project might be.
They added a.
Do we have enough time for the sewage project?
We just gotta check that on income level. What areas he's gonna go with, that would be the most.
They've done, though, this is sort of
start working on
a trick on that. If you've got an engineer already on that one, I'm sure he's counting on taking that project to the end. Well, CDBG, and it came up the other day on the webinar, I can't even say it, that if somebody had already gone after their federal dollars and had gotten funded for the CDBG portion of it, and the answer was yes. So there is something else to do, you know. And it's, to me, it's not fair to the engineer that's, or if you're making him go back through it, heck, you could choose somebody else.
That's right.
You know, because I'm sure he won't be paid off, you know, if he did change. So it just creates a lot of confusion in order to meet.
George and I have a saying, federal money comes federal rules. And he who holds the money makes the rules. And unfortunately, that's a new rule that has come in place, that your engineer has to be selected. Your engineer of record for the project, which just means I'll come to you and say, if you decide to go with the sewer project, we'll have to go through the procurement process for professional services at the time of the application, not after it's funded. So there is a slight expense that you'll have to bear.
That's something to do. But if we already had one that had done the plans and everything for us,
You got to do it again.
we could select him at that point and then turn in those plans. Okay, that's not bad.
Like I said, it's just not fair, you know. But nothing's fair anymore. You know,
Life's not fair.
Yeah, it's not. So I'm sure that engineer want to understand him, but I have heard of towns funded and they say we're going to use somebody else, and he sends them a bill.
Yeah,
you know,
in order for him to get the information. He has it. He has the info.
All right. So does that answer everyone's question? Okay. Crossart, yours, I'll let you know when we're meeting with the board, and then county needs to be working with health. And in years past, the health department has had some money that they could put with it to submit this year, because I think you should have already been in the plan. But this year has taught you that you definitely have a need.
Right.
It's helped you identify.
And I think they have told us in the past that they could help fund it. We just gotta do some site, find a site.
It's a barrel of good news.
George, you want to talk about the home program?
I don't have anything new with the home program unless y'all want to ask a question about it, and I'll try my best to answer it. But like I said the other day, where you got to have a certain number of points to meet the threshold requirement to submit an application. And for the last 2 or 3 years, Phyllis and I have taken every county and every city in our district and scored them. And they don't have one. It's an old one. It was funded in 2016, which was 4 years ago. Still rocking along a little bit. But it was funded under a different set of guidelines. So, but under these guidelines that we're working under now, it's not too promising.
The Mississippi Development Authority gave the money to the Mississippi Home Corps, who interprets the program somewhat differently, and very little new construction. You know, it used to be everybody got a new house. You could just about be guaranteed you'd have 5 new houses with the grant, and now the goal is not new construction, it is rehabilitation. And they won't got to make sure all of the other deficiencies are met too. So they really expect you to work some miracles, but
Under the program she's speaking of, the rehab dollars are limited to 35,000. They don't want you to do. It becomes a tear down.
I got you. And that's still, the grant side is still 350, 400.
We still got 5 right now. And like I said, it wasn't funded under these guidelines that we're working under now. It was funded under the old system where there was a slight chance that we would get a project. And we did get one.
Thanks for the information. We'll be able to use it.
Call us anytime.
when will you be meeting again? In 2 weeks? 5:30? Okay.
From the chair, I'm gonna recommend that we take a break.
See you again.
I guess you might start looking at when you think we're going to
Looking good. I actually made some adjustments to the audio. I think should improve that volume a bit.
How you doing? How you
And I had fun. Well, this is way more stable than what we've been having. Everybody needed to put one on
most of the time we don't know. You don't know. I guess we don't identify this part.
She has to be here today. And it looks like you're going to have to go clean up on the railroad, so that one could call me.
Continue. I hope everyone got something out of that break. But to get up, Chancellor Clerk business, Ms. Livingston.
The only thing I need is to acknowledge that we have received.
By Supervisor Howard, no CD. All in favor? Motion approved for payroll. Can we get a motion on payroll changes? So moved. Who will payroll? No payroll.
I was contacted by the Tom Bigby Water Valley District. They've asked me to do a trim cane and another one. And so I've got a resolution here that.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. Clear on the Sun Creek. Other one, resolution. All in favor?
Certification page advance that you have to sign. Next thing I have our continuing disclosure statement for our bonds.
Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Continuing disclosure, Butler and Smith. All in favor?
I got sometimes you don't have to sign now for that. Pritchard injured bail on $3,690.98.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery.
Got an interfund transfer to the 2011 refund and road bond project to make the final payment.
So moved. Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Susan. All in favor? All in favor? Motion carries forward.
Got a request for
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor?
a request along Courthouse, they're gonna go under Courthouse Road.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second.
Need to pay the credit card charges in the amount of $201.58.
So moved.
All in favor? Motion carries 4-0.
Need a request to pay, that's claims docket to pay $978,832.15.
All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. And bills.
Then I got several things that came out. N.L. Carson, $11,146.96 on the Sun Creek Road Bridge project.
All in favor? Motion carries 4-0.
Just a request to pay N.L. Carson, bridge number 150.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries.
And hearing on Sun Creek Bridge number 157 in the amount of $18,600.
Have a motion? Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard.
And Jeff O'Neill, 1219 Pleasant Ridge Road.
Second by Supervisor Howard, that's Jeff O'Neill. Bus turnaround.
Yes, sir.
All in favor? Montgomery, second.
Okay, the next one, I got a school bus turnaround request for Cynthia Walker at 99 John Walker Road. Thank you.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Trainer. Walker Road. Bus turnaround. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0.
That's all I have. Right, I'm gonna have to have surgery again in the morning, so I will be out for a couple of days. So I do it over. But I will be available by telephone.
Good luck.
But I will be available, yeah.
Now what we got is, county business.
Approval from the board, if any member that wants to pay the registration for the NACO virtual conference this year, legislative conference, there's a registration fee associated with that. And
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery, pay the registration fee for the NACO conference. Do you know what they, you give us a date on it?
so you can get all the dates and send you all the information. It's gonna be virtual this year, so.
Yeah.
Just a registration fee for that. Okay, I also had another request for the cover installation on Thomas Road for Mr. Andrew Beast. He sent pictures, we submitted a request, and just giving him.
Motion.
A motion.
Okay, I'll second that.
Cover on
Thomas Road for Mr. Andrew Beast. B-E-E-S-E.
Who
I second it.
Motion by,
Motion and second.
motion by Supervisor
A
Trainer.
recommendation for a gentleman that's interested in accepting the appointment to the Waste Management Board, Mr. Cornell Smith. He indicated to me that he's willing to serve on the Golden Triangle Waste Management Board.
How do you spell Cornell?
C-O-R-N-E-L-L. Smith. Cornell.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second
Motion by Supervisor Trainer to the Waste Management Board. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0.
I think we covered the bus turnaround there.
Yeah. That's
We don't do that.
I think you already said we need to meet in the evening time, or you just said that?
I just said that.
Okay.
I just said that.
Everybody have Valentine's Day.
Is it gonna be evening time?
I say daytime, the Bulldogs might be playing.
Yeah.
Any other board members? Okay, let's set a date then for the next, board meeting.
I move we stand adjourned to the 15th at 9 o'clock.
Hey, Bo, can I stop y'all just a second? I wanted to report back to y'all. So, today at noon, the gym opened. And we want to thank y'all for and here's why. Some of our equipment come in. All of our free weights are in, our big racks, the dumbbells are in. The plates for the COVID, they can't get them unloaded, so they are making the plates. It should be in this week, and the cardio will be in on the 11th. We're proud of this building. We can't wait for y'all to see it. So, if y'all's building, you go anytime you want to.
No, don't invite us to go work out now.
I was gonna say, can we go work out? Sure. Sheriff Department employees, huh? Yeah, listen, and I believe it's something, the sheriff said the other day it'd be the nicest gym in the city of Starkville when we get there. It's always worth the equipment in.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
I got some nice stuff.
Yeah, 37,000, and then a couple of the guys, the young guys, and old are insane.
I'm not into that, but I've had to go to a lot of medical calls. Somebody dropped something.
I get a lot of good use out of it.